Hello and welcome to another edition of Treasury Talent's LinkedIn Live Chats. I'm Joe Grabowski, joined as always by Simon Lynch. Today's topic will be the hidden cost of the open role on your Treasury team. Simon, how are you today?
Very good, Joe. Great to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining. Let's just jump right into it. We've been monitoring the markets for over a year now. We see that these jobs do stay open for, in most cases, for months, 6 plus 9 months at a time. What are some of the causes that we see, and based on your market knowledge, what are some of the causes for these jobs staying open for so long?
I think the biggest issue, Joe, is that people are looking for something that doesn't exist. They want a unicorn, or they want something that, it's a really long wish list, which generally is someone who's already done the job before, who doesn't really want the job. I think the other thing is placing an advert and waiting for a response. That market size doesn't change. There's still just as many people today as there will be in 3 months' time who do treasury jobs. You're not, by placing an ad multiple times, it's not really giving you a greater pool of people. And so I think that the combination of those two is people are just not necessarily listening to the market and taking someone who can do the job rather than someone who's on their wish list.
Yeah, and really, as far as recruiting strategy, I mean, you're essentially hoping that either someone's going to notice your description or your opportunity out of all of the others in the market. We know that it's a very busy market, or you're hoping that you catch someone on a bad day, the perfect person on a bad day. We're talking about a small percentage of a chance of a percentage of a chance.
And that's true, Joe. Like, people have a bad day, and that's effectively placing a job ad rather is effectively that. You're waiting for someone who's had a bad day. They're annoyed they haven't got a promotion. They're annoyed with their boss, whatever it may be. So they decide to look for a job. The reality is the best people don't look for jobs. The best people are those that you need to proactively approach. And that's what we do in our market is we constantly talk to people to know what their touch points are. What is it that's on their wish list for their next career move? And then we can go to those people when we know the job that you've got is the one that they want. They're not necessarily going to apply to a job. I'd say they're highly unlikely to actually apply to a job.
Yeah, and it's interesting when we do talk with Treasury leaders, and we ask them what their internal recruitment strategies are, what they're currently doing to fill the role, and it does tend to be some combination of post and pray, I guess, is what we'll call it. And yeah, there's direct outreach from the recruiters, but then you have a recruiter who doesn't know about the Treasury space, who's approaching practitioners, maybe with the wrong messaging, not even understanding what they do. It might not even be the right target market. And then you consistently see these jobs reposted because of this, and they just sit out there. And we hear this feedback from the market. It's you want to speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the key thing on that, Joe, is time kills interest, doesn't it? The longer something's out there, it becomes a smelly fish. And people start to question, well, why is it that company X has had that job open for 6 months? The job itself sounds interesting, but you know what? I'm really worried about it because it's been open for 6 months. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I think time kills interest, and you don't want your role to be something that hangs out there forever. And that's what reposting and hoping really does.
Yeah, and those are the questions that we field quite a bit from practitioners who are paying attention to the market, even though they may not be applying, is what's up with this job? It's been open for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. What do you know about it? Why hasn't it been filled? And it varies from organization to organization. And when we're engaged with clients and we're having these conversations, we're usually able to get course correction right there, so that it's a quicker turnaround to get you a short list and then to get a hire in place. But a lot of the conversations, to your point, it's usually someone looking for a unicorn that doesn't exist, or if they do find that perfect person, that person's already looking for the next job.
And I think the key thing, Joe, is if you're not talent pooling and looking at the market proactively, then the game's done. Like that's a 1990s approach to recruitment. The world's moved on. There's so much information at your fingertips. You should be able to talent pool. And the reality is, as we've said over and over, a recruitment process should take somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks. If you're taking longer than that, you've got to question your process, because you're just hitting and hoping, basically, as opposed to using market information, intelligence, and knowing what's going on in the market to be able to make the right decisions.
Yeah, and that's really what efficiency is, right? Taking the data that's available to you to get to the point you want to be at with the least amount of work and the least amount of time because you're operating efficiently. So let's talk about we've talked about the causes. What does this look like on the back end? I mean, from a treasury leader's perspective, if you're sitting above the fire, I guess we'll say, you may not necessarily feel the heat day to day, but there are impacts and there is a cost to having an open treasury role on your team. There are actually several costs. You have the financial piece, where we all know that a good treasury team who's well staffed, the moves they're making, they're paying for themselves and then some. They're saving the company a bunch of money, and in some cases making the company money based on a number of different things. Could be hedging strategy, could be capital markets deals, anything like that. But when you're understaffed, you're essentially just trying to keep it ticking along instead of optimizing. You're surviving, not optimizing. Do you have any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing I would say I hear is when people are looking for their next job, they're coming to us saying, we're one staff member down, I'm picking up all of the slack, and, I've done this for 12 months now, I need to get out of there because I'm burnt out. And I don't think people realize that is actually one of the reasons they're going to lose more staff, is because the people that are in there are not getting the support and the help that they need. So the burnout side is definitely one. I think the other hidden cost is a lot of CFOs don't probably know what they don't know, in that, if you don't have a treasurer in a role for a period of 6 months, how much does that actually cost you? And how many deals and transactions have happened or should have happened that have cost your business money? The crazy thing about it is a lot of the time they don't know that until they get someone back into the role to realize what they've missed out on. But it's definitely a cost to the business, and any treasurer will probably know that, but it's articulating that, I think, to the powers that be, so that you can be fully staffed and not miss out on any of the savings or the benefits that you can bring to your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to your point that you had made previously, is that work is being done by somebody, right? So say you're looking for an analyst, but you don't have any other analysts to pick up that slack, or maybe you do. Those analysts are getting burned out. So not only are analysts looking to advance, but they're probably getting stretched a little bit, and that's not necessarily true in every organization. Why wouldn't you jump to a well-staffed team, even for a lateral move? If you don't have any other analysts who can cover that work, all of a sudden maybe you have a manager, a director, an assistant treasurer who's now doing analyst level work. Is that an effective use? That's a very expensive person doing analyst level work. And I'm just using this as an example, but when you have that mismatch and you're not staffed properly, you are indirectly costing yourself or your organization money, because they're not able to focus on the job they were hired for. They're trying to cover for somebody else. So not only are they getting burned out, but now you have inefficiencies with how you're spending on the people that you have on your team too.
Definitely.
So, and to that point, if you do have an open treasurer or treasury position on your team, take the temperature of your team. Make sure that you're checking in with them, see how they're doing with their workload, see how workloads are being managed. If you're not feeling that pain directly, you need to be communicating with your team to understand exactly how urgent this need is, because I can tell you that Simon and I, being in the market day in, day out, we have those conversations with practitioners, to Simon's point earlier, who are saying, I've been stretched thin. Our team's been running thin and pretty much on fumes for the last year or so. We have this position, we can't fill it. It's your own team that understands or realizes that there's something wrong if you can't fill a role on your team too. So now they start questioning their loyalty to the brand, to the organization, or just there's no hope in sight if they are running on fumes and they are being burned out. So it's something where if you're not having those conversations and you know that you have an open role on your team, please, if nothing else, try to retain the people that you have, or it's only going to get worse for you.
You're 100% correct, Joe. And I think it reflects on you as a manager. If you can't hire into your team, and you can't get the right people to allow people to do their jobs properly, it definitely reflects on you as a manager. And you've got to start to question your internal recruitment team as to why they're not helping you. Maybe look at different options to be able to deliver what it is that you need.
Absolutely. And if you're dissatisfied with what your internal recruitment team is providing, or if you'd like some help with getting a better understanding of the market to identify the treasury talent that you need to get your team fully staffed, please reach out to me or Simon. With that, we will cut you loose. Treasury community, thanks for tuning in. We will catch you next week. Take care.